Joining us on the line this morning, the superintendent of the school district at Homer Center, Curtis Whitesel. Gregg Kalemba is the business manager of the school district. Our conversation today is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you both with us here today as we talk about issues within the school district and the school board last week and others within the Homer Center community, including the administration, talking about funding for the Homer Center district and whether or not the state is treating small districts, and in particular in this case Homer Center, fairly in terms of the monies that are given to the district to operate their school districts. And Mr. Whitesel, of course, you're the superintendent there. You've been there long enough that you can take a look at the numbers and say that, gosh, this doesn't seem right, does it?
No, that's a fact. If you look around our county alone, we are significantly underfunded compared to any of the other 6 county school districts. Our state subsidy is the lowest per student of the 7 districts in Indiana County. And our ESSERS money that all the districts have received is incredibly lower than everybody else, to the tune of about $1,000 less per student than what our neighbors are getting. And it's starting to create a hardship for our district, for our taxpayers, and for the community of the Homer Center School District. So we're trying to find some answers and see if there's anything we can do to fix the problem.
Gregg Kalemba, of course, I know that you'll echo those thoughts. You actually have to maneuver these numbers, and does it shock you how badly Homer Center trails in some of these fields?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been here with the district a little over a year now, and obviously as well had time to kind of digest everything. And, you know, you're going through this pandemic and really trying to see what the future holds. I think, you know, one of the biggest things that obviously stands out is the state funding. It's about the basic ed subsidy is about 34% of our revenue. So when you kind of look at that and you look at a range of funding between the districts of, you know, just to throw out some general numbers of, you know, $5 to $9 million, and we're 1.7 to 2 million behind all the other districts that are comparable to us in number of students, it definitely, you know, stands out on the on the page when you look at it, and it's $2,500 less than the closest district to us in the county, and then also to take a look at the federal funding. Again, looking at funding that, or, you know, this is for the pandemic recovery. When we look at a range of $2 to $4 million between all the districts in the county, we're 1.6 to $2 million behind the closest district in that as well, which works out to be about $1,600 per student. So as you look to the future, and you know, as you come off some general 2 years of actually level funding from the state, where, you know, you'd normally expect an increase as all of our expenses increase. Now more than ever, you know, you really got to look and come up with answers as to why we're significantly behind everyone else.
Well, that is the question. And Curtis Whitesel, maybe you can sort of enlighten us, because we need to know reasons why, and then we need to know solutions too. So the problem is outlined for us. Why is it the way that it is?
Well, we actually, Greg and I met with Senator Pittman about 2 weeks ago, and he shared some information he was able to gather from Harrisburg, that the formula that is currently being used to fund schools across the Commonwealth was a formula created in 1993, and based on your tax base and your tax income at that time. Well, obviously, the Homer Center School District was much better financially in 1993 with more businesses and places that provided tax money to the district. Well, in the last 28 years, we've lost significant amount of businesses, and the only way we could, incur the tax money needed to run the district is to tax our private citizens, and that's just not fair to the community. And we're asking that they take a look at that 1993 formula. We are meeting with Representative Struzzi this afternoon to talk about the same thing. He's bringing PDE in to help us figure out a way to possibly, do something or look at something at changing the formula. But one thing I want to say, Todd, though, this is no knock on the county schools. We're happy for everything they get, and we'd like to see them continue to prosper. We're just asking for them to take a look at what we are currently getting via basic ed funding and maybe change the formula or understand that our hardships have increased, and they have done nothing to help us, continue to maintain the school district that we're accustomed to.
Greg, does the state not have? Didn't they just a couple of years ago pass a new fair funding formula, but they're not really using it?
That's correct, and actually, when you look at components of that formula, and when you start out where they allocate part of the funding through student population, those numbers make sense. But then when they come in with their fair funding initiative, they're almost in a position where you can't alter the formula to the point where you're taking significant dollars away from districts. So they also make those districts who maybe receive less in this new calculation. They make them kind of whole, so to speak, and hold harmless. So to me, it almost looks like we're just right back where we started. When you look at it, there's a lot of districts that'll benefit greatly, and great for them. But districts like us, if this is a new fair funding formula, and we're receiving similar dollars, but the districts who receive more are still receiving a larger amount because you can't significantly cut their funding, then it really is of no isn't apparent benefit to us.
And of course, Curtis Whitesel, the situation gets even exacerbated a little bit more because of the impending imposition of Reggie and all that means for your tax base. That has to be concerning too.
That's really concerning. That's about $750,000 we receive in tax funding, and the fear of that possibility of losing that power plant would just be detrimental to our district. It would just be a blunt hit to our budget. I am meeting with the county commissioners. Greg and I are meeting with the county commissioners tomorrow. They have a meeting set up with the owners of the power plant, and they're going to come talk to us after that and hopefully give us some guidance or some answers to what the future holds. I know Senator Pittman is working diligently to try and combat Reggie and keep the smoke rolling out of the stack, so to speak, and that would be huge for Homer Center School District to combat Reggie and to keep the smoke rolling in, to keep the tax money flowing into the district.
I know it's a scary situation right now for folks in your district because of that, but certainly the funding formula just isn't working for Homer Center. And it seems like every time that there is an award announcement for bulk funds that are going out for our Indiana County school districts, Homer Center is always last in that list. And so we've been wondering why, and you gentlemen have helped us to understand why. Now comes the idea of fixing it. How do we go about getting real change in this whole thing?
I think starting with our representatives, our community members reaching out to our state representatives and pushing them to help us, when they're in Harrisburg. I think, just continued support of trying to change the formula and whether it's writing letters, sending emails, whatever it would take to our constituents to have that formula looked at and reviewed and possibly changed would be a great start.
Yeah. Greg, what were you going to say?
Exactly what Superintendent Whitesel had said. I think awareness, creating awareness, which is a big part of why we're here today, and then the residents. We have the highest tax millage in the county, and that should frustrate people because a part of that and a reason for that is this less funding that we do receive. I mean, the dollars have to come from somewhere, and unfortunately, it falls down on the taxpayers. So, and then just some answers from PD. I'm sorry. I know the formula. I see the formula. I see the variables in the formula, and so far, nothing is standing out as to why, and we just need to determine why.
Absolutely. It's a puzzle, and it's one that I don't see has a real chance of being solved in the next day or so, but you got to work on chip away at it a little bit at a time. Gentlemen, we thank you for being here. Kurt, we've got, of course, the usual month of May things coming up, graduation, prom, all of these things. Are things on track in Homer Center for the end of the school year?
Yes, things are on track. We have our prom coming up next Friday. Our graduation is set for Saturday, June 4th or 5th at eludes me what day the Saturday is. I think it might be the 4th. And if our graduation it's going to be out on the football field, and if it would happen to be inclement weather, we would move it to Sunday and continue throughout the week until we could get it in on the football field. But things are, it's testing time. We're doing our state test. We're winding down. We're looking at probably possibly 5 weeks of school left, and ending what's been a very difficult year for all the districts in the Commonwealth, and in fact across the country. But, we've been productive. We were only out of school maybe a little over a week the entire year due to COVID, and we're grateful and thankful for that our kids were able to be in the building and have a prosperous and productive year.
Curtis Whitesel, Gregg Kalemba, Homer Center School District, thanks so much for being with us. By the way, Kurt, that is June the 5th. If you show up on the 4th, you're early.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
Have a great day, gentlemen.
All right, take care.
Thank you. You too.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. FM and AM 1160.